Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dylan with Lasco Ford, and I would love to show you guys probably one of my favorite Maverick setups, one of the newest trim levels they've introduced, the 2025 Ford Maverick Lobo, this one in carbonized gray. Today, we're gonna go over a few things that make the Lobo a little bit special compared to the other Mavericks and take a look at the interior and exterior features and stylings. Without further ado, let's take a look. First, I want to talk about probably the biggest thing you see on the Lobo Maverick compared to the other trim levels is the actual unique grille on this setup. So this does have the nice blackened vents up here on the front and a darkened front Ford fascia, which looks super cool. The Lobos also come with the 2-liter EcoBoost engine. Now, Ford has made this EcoBoost engine for a number of years, and it is not new to the Maverick. However, the Lobo Maverick does get a 7-speed transmission compared to the typical 8-speed transmission, and you do have a horsepower difference here. The 2-liter on the Lobo is 238 horsepower. Also, what's really nice is a really clean workspace in here, and I promise these Ford service technicians are loving it too. You'll see you do have your windshield wiper fluid up front readily available, and your battery too in an easily reachable spot if you have to do a quick jump for whatever reason. Now let's take a look at the rest of the exterior. Now, coming down here first and foremost to the shoes of the Lobo Maverick, you will see this is a 19-inch painted black aluminum rim. The Lobo does have 2 styles of rims available. This is one and my personal favorite, but there is another option that we can put up on the screen here for you guys just to see. Now, another thing people aren't really talking about when it comes to these Lobos too, is this has different suspension and is actually lowered too, to give it a much more aggressive street truck feel, which I absolutely love that kind of stuff. Another thing I want to point out to you guys too, of course, this being its own trim level, not a package, its own trim level, you are going to get Lobo badging on the side here too, which is a nice black color. Again, I think it looks good with the carbonized gray. Speaking of that, carbonized gray mirror caps too, love that. While we're on the conversation of color, the Ford Maverick does. The Lobo comes in a select few colors, carbonized gray being this one. You do get shadow black as an option too. Oxford white, and probably my favorite blue that Ford makes. Absolutely love it. Now, another thing I want to point out to you too is, I don't know if the camera can see it from this angle, a little bit tough, but the Lobo Mavericks do have an optional painted black roof. I think it's maybe a skip it option on the black Lobos, but on something like a carbonized gray or even the blue, I think it's a nice touch. Now, I want to drag you back here just to show you the actual tailgate or bed area of the Maverick. So 2-liter engine, of course, you do have trailer hitch on there. Really, really cool to see. Blackened rear Ford fascia with your backup camera, of course, too, is a lockable tailgate. I can just pull that, open it up. And this one I do have exposed and open right now, but you can have the choice of a drop-in plastic bed liner or a spray-in bed liner, whatever you choose. Now, another cool thing I want to point out to you that makes the Maverick itself, if you guys don't know this, bed and tailgate area separate from all the other Ford vehicles. You do have, first of all, a great amount of space back here too. Your side wheel wells there are kind of pushed around, and this does have extra tie-down points over the tailgate of the vehicle. So if you need to drive with a larger load and keep this down, you've got tie-down points on the tailgate, plus a ton right in the bed of the truck. You'll see I've got 2 on the sides here, 2 on the other sides there, and I've even got lower hooks and upper hooks as we get closer to the cab. Now, speaking of that also, I want to point out to you storage box, which I think is one of the coolest features, and honestly, I believe that it was so popular, that's why they added it to some of the newer F-150s. Just a quick little turn, and you get some storage there. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a ton of storage, but you could definitely fit maybe some roadside emergency flares, a first aid kit, bungee cables, or whatever you need in the bed of your truck. Now, another little known thing I found that people aren't really talking about when they bring up these Ford Mavericks is actually Ford's flex bed system. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dylan, guys, what are you talking about, flex bed? The flex bed system is sort of more of a design philosophy, if anything, in my opinion. So Ford actually has tons of little DIY points, like this one here being the easiest to see. Honestly, you could put a piece of wood here, like a 2x4 is one of the big examples, to create almost a pseudo bike rack, right? But that is only one of the other small possibilities. There is the QR code that you may have seen on the storage box here, and on the opposite opposite side box there too. You can scan that and it's gonna give you a whole plethora of ideas to customize your Maverick to the way that you need it to be. Now that I've gone on and on and on about the exterior here, let's jump up into the interior and maybe take it for a drive. Now let's hop into the driver's seat really quick of the Lobo. There are a couple important features I want to make sure I show off to you, namely the exclusive interior on these Lobo Mavericks. So you do get the black ActiveX interior with a blue and like lime green, I would say, stitching, which I think looks wonderful with the rest of the vehicle. You do get the Lobo embossed there on the seat, which again, I think is super cool. You do have full power driver seating with lumbar support over here. And also, naturally, your power windows, mirrors, locks, and look, even more of that blue styling throughout the vehicle. Now, what I wanna do is take a second and let's go over some more of the exclusive Lobo features on the steering wheel and dash setup. Now that we're here in the interior, probably one of the most comfortable parts about the Ford Maverick. I'm a personal big fan of the whole dash setup that they've done in the recent model year transition. But the big thing on the Lobo exclusively, honestly, is the new steering wheel here. Not necessarily shape, but more function. So you will see you do have your traditional Ford cruise control and your steering wheel mounted volume options, hands-free calling option, music forward and back, which also doubles as your answer call, end call. But it's really these two buttons here that are new for the Ford Maverick Lobos here. So I can press them, and that's where my drive mode selectors are, which I think is a much better use of button positioning. So you have your traditional Ford drive modes, right? Normal, slippery for those lovely Michigan winters, balanced, which is just your normal driving, right? Nothing crazy here. Sport, if I can press it again, to pass that one guy on the highway, right? You do have your trailer tow haul mode here. And the last one that's exclusive to Lobo is the Lobo drive mode, right? This is for, closed course driving, kind of put your foot on it. Very, very cool. It even says track use only. So that's just kind of cool to see that Ford has a mind for the performance owners of the Lobo. And speaking of performance owners too, you do get paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel, making this so much fun to drive. Of course, this does have Ford's sync for a touchscreen system here. You've got your climate options and temperature. Also, wireless CarPlay. That's pretty much just on all the Ford vehicles now, and no exception here on the Lobo Maverick 2. And just another little thing I feel like no one really talks about, and it's worth mentioning, Ford's transitioning to digital owner's manuals. So instead of flipping through that book, you come in, press the button. It'll take a second to load, but you'll see why, because this is jam-packed with any and all the answers to your questions. So once it finishes loading here, you can sort by keywords, categories, bookmark certain things, have a couple videos, but my favorite is visual search, where I can independently just press one of these buttons and it's going to give me some owner's manual information. Very, very in-depth, and honestly I think is much better than the traditional book system that they use. You do have fast charging USB ports down here, push button start, of course, dial shifter, as Ford has been doing the past couple years on some of their vehicles, electronic parking brake, of course your traction control option, and then toggleable auto start stop too. Plenty of cup holders throughout the vehicle, and honestly great use of design here when it comes to where to put my phone, whether I lay it here on the models that have a wireless charging pad, in this case this one does not, or even like a phone kickstand, right? Very, very cool to see that. Now that we've gone over some of the exclusive features of the Lobo Maverick, let's take this thing for a drive. I'm very excited for this part because I get a chance to drive the Ford Lobo, and like I said prior, it does have different transmission and it does have altered suspension and lowered too, so very excited to see that. But before we go, it's a beautiful Michigan day for us. Let's open up our moonroof really quick. Ah, love that. Let's go, guys. So I'm driving the vehicle now in just the normal drive mode to give me the most normal driving experience with the Lobo. So far it feels pretty comfortable. I can definitely tell we're lowered. Not anything that puts me off in any way, but honestly it is a little nice. I've had a full-size F-150 for a number of years, so it is a little bit cool, honestly, to be back in a lower sitting vehicle. The vehicle, Lobo Maverick, does have Ford Co-Pilot 360 on this. So that comes with a bunch of different driver safety technology, right? First and foremost, I tell all my customers this, and I'm gonna say it here again and again and again, Ford's Bliss, or blind spot monitoring system, as it's oftenly called. I think that that is probably the most important safety feature on any modern vehicle nowadays. If you don't know what that is, there are indicators on side view mirrors that will light up if someone's in my blind spot. And honestly, just because I'm so passionate about it, I think it saves more lives than people care to admit. Speaking of more driver safety technology with the co-pilot package, you do have a lane keeping system, which is toggled on the end of the turn signal stalk over here, if you can see that, on and off, just to kind of help keep me in line on the highway or roads, wherever I'm at. Again, a very just nice, non-invasive, and I think that's the key, non-invasive driver assistance feature. The vehicle also has automatic high beams, uses a daylight sensor and camera that kind of faces out of the rear view mirror housing here, that just is looking for light of oncoming cars. Not something we can really show off in the video right now because obviously it's the daytime, but if you have a Ford vehicle or if you have something else with automatic high beams, you know how invaluable that is. Another cool feature too, this just comes in the Co-Pilot 360 package, is reverse sensing system. And now you're probably thinking, well, what's that? It's honestly the little sonars on the back of most vehicles that alert you if something's behind you, right? Not the camera, but the thing that actually screams at you, hey, watch out, be careful, there's somebody there. Again, a must-have for me, just like the blind spot monitoring system. The vehicle does also have pre-collision assist too, to kind of alert you of an incoming collision, right? And hopefully no one ever really has to see that, but if you've experienced it going off, I'm sure you're grateful for it. Kind of alerts you, makes some noises to make you aware. Maybe you're falling asleep at the wheel or you're not paying attention, as people often do in this day and age. Just a really cool feature there. And the more I drive this, the more I wish we did have it on a closed track, because I'd really like to kind of open it up and honestly use the paddle shifters, because I feel there's more here that I'm just not getting out of that normal drive mode as I would to the Lobo mode, or maybe even the sport mode that the Mavericks traditionally offer. I'm a big fan personally of the 2-liter EcoBoost engine. It's one of my personal favorites. They made it on the Fusions for years. They do it on the Escapes now. And when they came out with it on the Ford Mavericks too, I was very, very excited to see honestly a tried and true engine come to their newer truck like this. Great blind spots, but that's not necessarily a Lobo exclusive thing. That is just a Maverick thing with the really open windshield and kind of smaller pillars here to just give me great view all around of the vehicle. Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us and checking out one of the Ford Maverick Lobos and giving us the chance to drive one with you. If you have any questions about pricing, product availability, do not hesitate to give our dealership a call at 810-390-5550. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and honestly, let us know, what do you think? Talk to you soon.